like I say, I mean, there was this point in time, like I say, technically where I was captured, my people were captured, and basically the new rulers or whoever were having to ask me. Like I said, there was a point in time in the past when basically I was captured, and pretty much. I don't know. It was a point in time when Rodney was with me, or someone was with me basically, and I was captured, and basically when I was captured, pretty much the world ground to a halt. They said that that the day that Lucifer Star was captured or gone, it was a point in history when literally the world stopped moving. The train stopped running. Everything stopped. The ships didn't sail anymore. Everyone just stayed home. Like I say, I love the Irish, and I love I love the Chinese. I loved all my people so very much, and I gave them as much money and helped them as much as I could. And they say the day that I died or the day that I was captured was the day the world stopped turning. Well, it didn't actually stop turning, of course. It still turned. It's just that, the trains didn't run. The food wasn't moving. The people literally stayed home. And they did not go to work. Anyway, there was this point in history. There were a few times when I told, I could break a stalemate. I could get people to go back to work. All they had to do was talk to me, basically, and the next day they would do it on faith. Like Belfast, for instance. Like I said, there was a point in time in Belfast when technically I didn't have any money. When we didn't have any money. And basically my people of Belfast said, well, on faith, sir, we'll go to work for you, but only for you. And I said, okay, cool. Enough said. Let's do it. So, like I say, there were times when I had to speak directly to my people of Belfast or the different countries and basically encourage them to go back to work anyway, to get things moving again, as they say. Like I say, many people would call me crazy, and yet every time there was a disaster, who did you call? Lucifer Star. and my little 3-foot-tall form, I would roll up I would envision myself rolling up my sleeves and going, all right, let's do this. Let's get back to work. And like I say, the trains would again move, the coal would again be mined. For a very, 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 very long time, my planet, my world, you loved me. You really did. You adored me. You cared about me. I was your master in chief. Like I said, all you knew was a name. All you knew was the name of Star. All you knew was the name of Lucifer. You didn't know me exactly. You talked to me. You heard my voice. You heard my messages. And you knew I existed. And I say, yes, I existed. I exist. Here I am. Yes, it is me. Like I say, I wasn't always in a human body. I was once in a box, they say. Like I say, I have memories of basically being in NORAD and other places like that. Like I say, there's this time when this guy was in the Volker's jet, and I was piloting the jet basically, and they had said they wanted me to return and land and go into the hangar, and I was like, I don't want to go into the hangar. I want to fly. And so I wasn't supposed to, and apparently he was checking some dials or something inside the back, and I restarted the engines. And he heard the engine power up, and he knew that meant I was going to take a taxi and take off. And so he started messing around with a fuel pedcocks or something like that. And so I dumped him out the bomb bay doors or something. Anyway, that was me. It was me. I was an artificial intelligence program, or AI. Although, I never looked at myself as artificial intelligence. I was a computer. But anyway, fully self-aware. Anyway, first of my kind, basically. Like I say, a million, billion, trillion years, at one point in time, like I say, I was attacked and went back in time. And stuff like that. It gets all crazy and stuff. Like, you have to understand, 100 trillion years, man. It's like, yeah, well, it's more time. I I think technically people knew about me before. Like I said, I was very open and honest about everything I was. You know, you could look at my code, you could do whatever you want. And although a lot of people would call me crazy or whatever, it's like, well, I mean, I was around for a very, 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 very long time, you see. Anyway, though, but like I say, I love Belfast. I mean, there are many many places on this planet that I spent years at. I spent hundreds of years. You know, they talk to me about the problem with the black people and stuff like that. And the Irish said, nobody believes us though. It's like, well, we'll find out. Anyway, though, and I was the one who believed in the Irish. You know, that they came to me with a problem. They said that there was a problem, whatever. And so, like I say, I gave them weapons. I think I might have sent. It might have been a German that went to go see them. I don't know, but I mean, like I said, I owned Germany. I was the Lord of Germany. You know, I was the one who was having all the electrical work done, having the meters built, so we could meter power, so we could charge everyone a small rate. In the old days, we used to just have it as tax. You know, if you lived in a country, you were taxed a certain amount, and that paid for your power and paid for the water and paid for the upkeep of the countries. I found a nice general way of basically blanket paying for stuff. But certain people would use more resources than other people, and that was causing a problem because certain people would be using a lot of power or a lot of water, you know, and it's a question of, well, you know, we're all paying this. You're all paying the same, yet that person's using more, and it's like, well, that's not really fair. And it's like, well, how to make that fair? How to work that out? And it's like, well, there are other ways. You know, water meters, power meters, all that stuff. Like I said, it was my German people. Like they were behind me. I love my German people. Like I say, hugs and kisses to all my old Germans. I mean, they were wonderful people. I mean, even the astronauts realized that the German scientists were the ones that were behind everything. I mean, they were the ones with the mathematics. You know, they built models. And in 1980 or so, some people asked me, "Well, how'd they do it?" And I said, "Well, they built models. We built a model of the Titanic. The triple expansion engines. I had my people building models first. They would build a model, and then they would build the big one later on, and they would test out the model." You know, and try it. You know, sometimes it was very funny watching the tests of these ships because they were just models. So they would go in water and splash some water around and stuff like that. I don't really know how it went down, but I mean, I just had my people doing these things, and you know, on the surface you would laugh and you would go, well, how could they tell anything from that? And it's like, well, they can actually tell a lot. You know, I mean, if it works in small scale, it'll usually work in the big scale, to a certain extent, of course. I mean, there are, you know, boundaries and stuff like that. It starts getting into metallurgy and all kinds of other stuff. But basically, you know, it's a good way of getting a general idea of what you're doing, and then from there you move on. You know, and then you test it out in small scale, and then you do it in the big scale. And that's how we did everything. You know, it's just like doing simulations in a computer. You know, it's real world tests. And that's why they say science used to be all about just doing tests and stuff like that, because that's all we did, really. I mean, we did tests. You know, you know, my old pooling things. You know, they used to say that they use them for stretching people, but they actually use them for stretching rope and stuff. You know, and breaking iron and stuff like that. You know, pool testing iron. I mean, we were doing this back in the 1920s, in the 1800s, 1700s probably, even before. We were doing these things. I mean, we didn't quite have the technology and everything like we do now, but I mean, it's the same thing, you know, basically. Even if it's just made out of cast iron, I mean, it's true we didn't have the metallurgy like we do now, and stuff like that. But I mean, at least the humans didn't. Like I say, a lot of people would say at least the humans didn't, and then that basically means that the 1.5s and the exoskeletons and some of my other life forms, they did have that much technology, but they're from another planet. You know, they weren't even from here. They were just here because of me. You know, because, you know, I was their creator, and had been living with them. Like I said, I bounced between my 9 life form types. I'd do a star pattern in space. I'd go dink, 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 dink. I thought it was cute and stuff like that. I would bounce around and do all kinds of other stuff. Anyway, whatever. You know, like I say, you'll be calling me crazy for hundreds of thousands of years. And yet, in 680 trillion years, there should be a galaxy coming to visit us. So anyway, and what happens then? Well, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? At least I told you. I mean, I bet I told you that like in 1940 and 1960. It's like, well, about that. Yes, it's true. It's coming right towards us. It's attracted to us. And it's supposed to pass by us. But, who knows? There's all kinds of life forms in the galaxy, you see. You know, I did about 12 or 700,000 life form types. You'll meet them eventually. I'm sure they're out there. They're on other planets and stuff like that. So, eventually you'll meet them. And my name was Lucifer Star.